My son Raiden was born in January of 2018. He's been seeing things ever since he was a newborn. In the corner of his nursery or something, smiling, laughing, cooing, everything that a baby does. It's never been something that I feel is an evil entity. My mom, whenever she would take care of him, whenever he was first born, she would always think it was his guardian angel. My mom's very religious. She was like, I bet somebody's watching over him. Fast forward to June of 2018. This is when my husband's grandmother, Amparo, she unfortunately passed away. She was from the valley area of La Feria, along the Gulf Coast of Texas. She was in hospice care for a little bit. She was very sick. She had always wanted to meet my son, Raiden. Unfortunately, at the time that he was born, his pediatrician was like, he can't travel anywhere because it can make him really sick. We were waiting it out till he was a little bit older. It never came to fruition for him to meet her. We went down to the valley area. Her service was on a Monday. Her burial was on a Tuesday. I had asked my parents, hey, do you mind taking care of Raiden for us so we can go down there? They were more than happy to do so. They were both very religious. They were like, hey, do you mind if we take him to church on Sunday while y'all are in the valley? I was like, no problem. Sunday afternoon, we check into our hotel. We're getting ready for the next day. We're going to go meet up with his family members. They were having some dinner at his grandmother's house or at a restaurant. I can't exactly remember. It was so long ago. I know we were supposed to meet up with them. That night, I had checked in with my parents to see how he was doing, how he was at church. They said he was great. And she was like, I need to tell you something funny that happened. Me and your dad, we took Raiden in and sat in one of the furthest pews to the back, because in the church that I grew up in, they had a crying room for the babies. My mom was like, I'm going to sit way back in the back of the church. If he starts crying, I can just take him out so we're not disturbing anybody else. They sat in the back. He was 5.5 months at the time. She noticed he was smiling at somebody in the back of her. She figured it was either another baby or somebody that was entertaining him. She never looked at the back of her who it was. They go through the whole service. She's gathering the diaper bag. My dad's helping her. She feels a tap on her shoulder. It's this elderly lady. She has glasses on. There's another lady next to her that's holding her up or assisting her. They both smiled at my son, and both of them. The other lady nodded politely, but she never said a word. My mom was like, hi, how are you doing? She was like, I just wanted to say that your grandbaby Raiden was so well behaved. He's the cutest little thing I've ever seen. She talked to my mom for a little bit, and she goes, do you mind if I give you something? My mom was like, oh, no, you don't have to do that. She was like, no, I insist. I really want to give him something. She said, okay, no problem. The lady handed her a $2 bill. In the back of my mom's mind, she was like, that was a little weird. Nobody carries those anymore. But she was like, I thought it was very kind. She touched my son's head and said, I hope y'all have a good day. She saw them walk out of the church doors. That was it. My husband, who was beside me, he was like, hey, how's Raiden? I told him the whole story. He goes, wait, she gave him a $2 bill? Yeah, a $2 bill. Why? He goes, my grandma, she used to give us $2 and $20 bills every single Christmas out to all of her grandchildren. I was like, are you serious? Like, I didn't know that at the time. And he was like, yeah, she did. Did your mom say what that lady looked like? I was like, yeah, she just said that she had glasses. His grandmother used to wear glasses. I could tell in the back of his mind, those wheels were just going. He was like, I need to know more about this. We went to the service that night, to her burial. We came all the way back to Victoria. He immediately asked my mom, as soon as we walked in the door, can you tell me what happened? She tells him the whole story. He tells her, yeah, my grandma used to give us $20 and $2 bills every single Christmas without fail. It just so happened that he had the obituary card in his wallet. So he pulls it out and shows it to her. My mom gets her glasses on and everything. She looked at the card. Her face went pale. It just went pale. That was her. She was like, no, that was her. I don't know who the other lady was. She never said a word, but that was her. I looked at my husband. I could tell he was just like, oh my God. He couldn't believe it either. We still have that $2 bill framed in my son's room. I believe my mom. I know she was telling the truth. She knew who she saw. It was very symbolic because she never got to meet Raiden. I think that was her way of finally getting to meet him and being able to say goodbye at the same time. It's comforting, I think. I mean, it is a little creepy in a sense, but at the same time, it's very comforting because we know she's still around protecting Raiden and our family. She's one of his guardian angels now. But it is a little creepy to some people. Some people might doubt that, like, oh, it's just a coincidence. It was just a lady that was wearing glasses just like her, that had the hairstyle just like her. But no, like, I truly think that was her. I still can't believe it to this day. My mom, she strongly believes in that. She's very religious, believes in the afterlife, and that there's guardian angels everywhere. They'll pop up whenever you least expect it or when you need them the most. It definitely scared her. She never met her. But for her to say, yeah, that's her from a card, that was something. Maybe they come at our time of need or when they feel like they need to protect us for some reason. Maybe they see something that could happen and we don't, and they're just there anyway, you know? So that could have very well been it. Fast forward a couple years to 2020, my son turns 2. And in January of that year, Ramon's grandfather, Oscar, passes away. He was a really, really sweet man. He was a lawyer down in Raymondville. He was known for his work. There were a lot of poor people down there. He was well known for the fact that if they couldn't afford his services, he'd say, okay, you can pay me with some of your corn or some of your crop for that year. So he was known for being generous and having empathy for other people that weren't as fortunate as him. He passes away in January. At the time, I'm working a corporate job. I wasn't able to take off to go with my husband to the funeral and the services. He was like, hey, no problem. So you can stay here with Raiden. I'll be back in a couple of days. He takes off. I don't remember exactly what day the service was. They were holding a rosary. The next day was going to be the burial. That night that he first left, it was just me and Raiden. We were doing our usual bedtime routine. We started at 7 p.m. and by 8 p.m. he was in bed. I was reading to him. He has this little toddler bed that faces our hallway. I was reading to him. We just finished a book. I was walking to his little bookcase to put everything up. I noticed out of the corner of my eye that he was smiling at something. I didn't think too much of it. Normally, our dog, Emmy, will come down the hallway and spend the time with us in there until I'm leaving. I was just thinking, okay, she's just coming down the hallway. I'm putting up all the books. He's still smiling at something. He let out a little giggle. I was waiting for Emmy to come in. She never came in. I looked down the hallway. It's dark, completely dark. I'm looking at Raiden. He's smiling away. Something is entertaining him. I ask him, hey, buddy, what are you looking at? He just goes, the light. the light. I'm thinking, I'm losing my mind, and I left a light on in one of the rooms, and he's seeing it under the doorway. We don't have a nightlight down that hallway or anything. Even the entryway to our house, there was no light on. I dreaded to ask him this question, but I was like, is it a good light? And he goes, yes, it's very good. He's 2, and so he can only speak so many words, but he knew to say it's good. All of a sudden, he just starts laughing. And then he hides behind me, peeks out again. I guess whoever it was playing peekaboo with him. I had this feeling that it was Ramon's grandfather. So he just continues staring down the hallway. He's in this trance that I can't break him out of. All of a sudden, he lets out one more laugh. He gives me a hug. He lays down immediately to sleep. That's not like him. He's a toddler. He doesn't want to go to sleep. It takes me a few minutes just to get him down, but he was immediately asleep. It looked like the most peaceful sleep that he's ever been in. I was just frozen there. I wasn't afraid. I was like, I bet that was his grandfather. I said a little prayer. I said, please watch over Raiden while he sleeps. I put it at the back of my mind, I'll tell my husband about this tomorrow. I went to sleep. The next day, they're holding the rosary. My husband calls me before. He's just wanting to check in on us. I tell him what happened. He's like, man, that's really weird. Did anything else happen after that? I was like, no, nothing else happened. It was just that one time. We talk a little bit more. I hang up. They're holding the rosary at 7 p.m. that night. I start the whole bedtime routine again, reading to him. He's laying in bed, looking at the ceiling. There's a spot on the ceiling that he's so fixated on. I'm thinking that he's looking at these little planet decals that we have on his wall. He just starts smiling again. And I'm like, okay, here we go. I'm dreading it. Also, this is not what I want to be encountering when I'm by myself at night with my toddler. So I'm like, Raiden, are you okay? He asked, where's my dad? He's with his grandfather right now. And he's okay. When's he coming back? He'll be coming back tomorrow. He's like, where's Grandpa? I thought he was talking about my dad. And I was like, well, they're at home. We'll see them soon. He's like, no. Daddy's grandpa. I was like, well, he's with Daddy right now. He looks me dead in the eye and he goes, no. He died. I felt like my soul left my body. We never told him the meaning of death or dying. For him to say that and use it correctly, it froze me. It gave me chills. I looked at him. Yeah, you're right. He's in heaven now, and Daddy went to go see him. How did you know? He goes, he told me. Then he started staring at the ceiling again. All of a sudden, his little trance was broken. He looks at me. He's like, I'm tired. I honestly think that he just appeared to him. All this happened while the rosary was going on. His soul came to visit Raiden and was giving his final goodbyes too. He knew that we couldn't be there. He came to see Raiden and tell him maybe what happened. And Raiden understood that. The rosary is a service that they hold in a Catholic funeral where you recite all the beads of the rosary, you say a prayer for the deceased. After all that, friends and family can get up and just talk about the memories they had with that deceased person to help their souls get to heaven, at least in the Catholic belief, that service. That's why we have that for the burial, the final goodbyes that the family can give, friends can give, and they go to the cemetery to bury them. My husband's Aunt Terry, She was staying with Ramon's grandmother at her house. Shortly after his burial, she was hearing a lot of noises in the house. The door to their master bedroom would slam shut. They thought maybe for some reason he was still attached to something in that house that he could not leave behind. Maybe he didn't want to leave his wife yet, or if he was looking for something, they weren't sure. But my husband was given some suits and ties and an old college jacket. He went to the University of Texas before he became a lawyer and received a jacket from there. My husband was given that jacket. I remember he told me that there was a few occasions where he was having a hard time sleeping. He would be up doing something on his phone or computer. Out of the corner of his eye, he would see a shadow pass in our living room, like go back and forth. Maybe he was looking for that stuff. Maybe it still means a lot to him even in the afterlife. I don't know how long they waited to give it to us until after he was buried, but he was probably still very attached to everything. Even though his soul left this world, all of his materialistic things still meant something to him. He only saw it maybe once or twice. All these things happened 2 or 3 weeks after he was buried, and then it just stopped all of a sudden. I never experienced anything else after that. Neither did my husband. All the activity in his grandmother's house stopped as well. We're not sure what he was looking for, or if he was just wanting to stay until his wife passed on with him. I don't know. But it was definitely quite the experience, not just from my side, but from his aunt's side as well. My son, Raiden, he's definitely a special little boy ever since the beginning. He's very sensitive, not only emotionally, but he's sensitive to what's going on around him at all times, how people are feeling and the atmosphere. I really think that he's had that ability ever since he was born. Now he's going to be 6. I haven't heard from him if he's seen anything, but it really amped up a lot whenever he was little, a baby, all the way to almost 3 years old is when everything happened to him. It can get emotional talking about them. In the back of my mind, I still can't believe that they happened, but I know they did. Even to this day, I still wonder why it only happened to Raiden and I, not to my husband and Raiden, considering they're his family. I still don't understand that. He's had one minor experience, but it wasn't as extensive as it was with, all of his grandparents since 2018. This last one takes place in May of 2021. Ramon's grandmother, who was the wife of Oscar, she just gets very sick and she passes away. At that time, I'm probably about in my late second trimester with our second son. I was having a hard time sleeping. I couldn't get comfortable for the life of me. I was always up late, just randomly cleaning, doing things around the house. I remember Raiden got up. He came to get me. He couldn't go back to sleep. He was wondering where I was at. I took him back to his bed. He wanted me to lay down with him until he fell asleep again. I was sitting there with him. I couldn't go to sleep. So I was like, I'll just do some light reading. I looked at my phone. It changed from 11:59 to 12 a.m. I started reading and I barely got through the first paragraph before I heard 3 knocks on a window. Those 3 knocks were on that window that was closest to his bed. After those 3 knocks stopped, I started hearing a bird sing. I hadn't heard a bird sing at that hour before. I went to the window and I looked out. Maybe the bird threw something at the window. As soon as I opened the blinds, the singing stopped. Brushed it off. I went back to bed. I was sitting there and I get this thought in my head that she's gone. For some reason, it just automatically came to my mind that his grandmother had passed. Less than a minute later, my husband comes into the room. I already knew what he was going to say. He goes, my mom called. My grandmother just passed away. I just told him, I know. I told him everything that happened. He goes, it just happened? I was like, yeah. What time did she pass away? 12 a.m. That's when I heard the knocks and the bird sing. Right at 12 a.m. Maybe she was rejoicing that she passed from this life and is happy now, at rest, and isn't hurting anymore. She's finally with her husband again. Why else would a bird be singing at 12 a.m.? It sounded like a cardinal. Those are very symbolic. They only appear if somebody you love has passed. I couldn't see anything. When I went to the window, it was really dark outside. But I really do think it was a cardinal. No bird has ever sounded that pretty before. My dad, I was talking to him yesterday evening. He reminded me of one more instance. My son Raiden had seen somebody that passed away. My Uncle John had gotten COVID. So March of 2020, he unfortunately passed away from it. I wasn't able to attend the funeral. They weren't having a service. They didn't really know what COVID was at the time. It was just something scary that was killing everybody. Instead of a burial, everybody from their cars was only able to view it. You couldn't go outside or anything. People were in hazmat suits burying my uncle. A few months after that, Raiden, I want to say he was maybe 3. He was playing baseball with one of the neighborhood kids. He was just laughing, having a great time. And I saw him run into the house. He came out with one of his dinosaurs. He was a big dinosaur collector. And he just looks over there in that little area because they're playing baseball in between our houses. And he has this confused look on his face. Then he comes running up to me. He goes, Mom. He goes, where's Uncle John? What do you mean, where's Uncle John? And he goes, he was here. He was standing behind my friend's dad. He was playing baseball with us. He told me to go show him one of my dinosaurs. I couldn't talk. I could not talk for like a good minute. I was like, Uncle John, he passed away. He passed away a few months ago. He was like, oh. And then he just runs back. I was like, he saw my uncle. It's still an emotional thing to talk about. I didn't get to say goodbye to him. It was so sudden. But for him to see him and have that full-on interaction with him, I don't know what it is about Raiden. He's just seeing all these people. They're coming to say goodbye to him. It's comforting but weird at the same time. He's such a good kid. He's got a good heart and he's loving and every good thing that you could think about in a child. He's just that. And there's just something about him that I guess attracts all that energy. My grandmother, she passed away probably when I was 13 or 14. My mom has a picture of her in this big old curio cabinet in her house. It has all the religious relics, family pictures and whatnot. I was pregnant with our second son. Raiden and I were traveling down to Victoria by ourselves. I was going to stay the weekend with my parents. My husband was working and he wasn't able to come. We got to the house. I see Raiden go over to that big old curio cabinet and he just kneels in front of it and starts staring at a picture. My mom was like, what are you looking at? She thought he was looking at all these little objects on the bottom. He was like, who's that? Pointing to my grandma. My mom was like, well, that's my mom. Your mom's grandmother. He goes, she was following us on the whole ride to Victoria, Grandma. She was by the car the entire time. She was protecting us. My mom, she's looking at me like with these wide eyes. She couldn't believe it. She was like, she was riding with you? He was like, she was beside the car. I'm like still getting goosebumps from it to this day. I cannot explain it, but he knew. He was 100% positive. My mom was like, she was probably protecting y'all on the road. She knew you were pregnant. It made my mom cry. My mom hasn't seen my grandma. As an adult, you really don't see those kinds of things anymore. Raiden's definitely seen a lot of our family members, more than any of us. I don't know how to explain it. My family always has strongly believed in an afterlife and in God, and that if you do great things, you're kind to people, you help people, that you can go to heaven. All of his grandparents were wonderful people. They were very warm and welcoming. Whenever I first started dating my husband, they treated me like family right away. They didn't even know who I was. They didn't know my background. They knew nothing about me, but they still treated me as their family. That just speaks volumes about them as to who they were as a person. I truly believe that all of them went to heaven. I guess them coming back to say goodbye was like their way of saying, yes, there's an afterlife. There's something better once you leave this world. We never really have left you. We're always here.